Guys, I am so sorry. I four times I tried to live stream. I have never ever had this problem. It is absolutely bullshit. 100% bullshit. You know, it's like, honestly, I don't know what to think about that. Whether it's my shitty connection, and let me tell you, if you have Spectrum, hey Spectrum, double one for you, because your connection has always sucked. I always went with Verizon when I could. And I have had trouble with their connections, but never to the point that I have tonight. I don't know if it's because a lot of people are online, maybe streaming, maybe taking up a lot of data, maybe there's a lot of people on YouTube doing the same thing that I'm doing. I don't know what it is, but my whole night got fucked up. You got fucked up because you couldn't ask me any questions. So I'm gonna go ahead with the Reaver video. If you do have questions after this video, I can call on this Reaver at any time. So if after you watch this video, if you have any questions afterwards, then email them to me at salemwillow@yahoo.com, and I will go ahead and I will ask the Reaver those questions, and I will do a follow-up video. So I will take all the questions that I've been asked, and I will ask the Reaver, and I will do a follow-up video where I'm live with the Reaver again, to get you the answers. I am so sorry. I don't understand what's happened. See, what I have to do is I have to go through my browser on my phone. For some reason, my webcam on my computer wouldn't work. That's never happened before either. But I have to go through, because I don't have enough subscribers, I have to go through the browser on my phone. So I have to run it as a desktop app. So even though I turned off the connectivity to my Wi-Fi here so that it would still run, something was wrong with the connection with the YouTube, because I was still going here, but YouTube was not. YouTube died. So I don't know honestly, I think there are a lot of people online right now doing the same fucking thing I'm doing, and YouTube is just not working well. Either that or it's fucking Spectrum. And, you know, fuck you, Spectrum. I hate you. I fucking hate you. If I could get away from you, I would. But this apartment complex uses Spectrum. So let's talk to this Reaver. Now, I haven't uploaded it yet, but I went to a cemetery today. This Reaver came and it went ahead and took some of the spirits that wanted to cross away. I will be editing that video and posting it up online tonight. But, so let's talk about what Reavers look like. So the picture that I have on my website, the Nosferatu, well, I should say the website, on the YouTube channel, that picture of Witch Willow, from the classic film Nosferatu, that is kind of what their face looks like. Because of their body appearance, I think that people may have actually seen a Reaver and either thought they saw what's considered ghouls or Slender Man. Okay? So let's take a quick second and talk about where Reavers come from. Reavers are actually born of fire, which is where the whole Jinn being born of fire might come from. And a Reaver might actually be confused with the myth of the Jinn, simply because their appearance. They look humanoid, but they do not look human. And this is why I don't understand why their appearance is the way it is, because most of them are pretty benign. They're here to do a job, and that's it. That's what they created for. That's what they do. That's it. But there are better ways to look to not want to make spirits run the fuck away from you when they see you. So I don't know why they have the appearance that they do. But they were born from fire. They have never lived as a human. Never. They do not have human emotions, human compassion, nothing. So in that way, they're kind of like, what do you call it? Elementals. Kind of like that. Because, again, elementals, they were never human either. But, sorry, it's been a long day for the witch. They were born out of this fire to collect souls. Souls that are lost, souls that didn't cross, souls that should be in a certain place that really didn't want to go and ran away. So, now their looks are, they have kind of like teardrop shaped faces. And in this concern, think of the Greys. They have a large forehead, tapers down to a very small chin. And it's a rounded chin, but it's a small chin. They do have large eyes. They are completely bald, and they are very white. They have very long, slender bodies, very long, slender arms, and very long fingers, like the Nosferatu type fingers. Not with the fingernails, really, but they have like the long fingers. I'm not sure why, and that is something I will ask this Reaver. Now, as for their face, they do have a classic human face. They've got eyes. They have noses. And it's almost like a slit for a mouth. It's not like they really have any lips. It's a slit. But because they don't need food, they don't have any teeth. So they have a very sunken appearance to their face. And that's a little off-putting too. They obviously have no age. So they don't look young. They don't look old. They do not have a gender. They don't need it. Again, they never walked on the earth. They don't have to procreate because they are born of fire and energy, so they don't need to procreate. So they are asexual. They have no female genitalia, no male genitalia. They are all like stick straight. They also don't talk. They don't have words. They communicate telepathically. And they speak every language in the world. Now, so that's what they look like. So let's talk about what they do. Weavers are a combination of the word Reaper and Retriever. Now, I may be wrong on this. If I am, feel free to correct me in the comments. But I think the whole image of the Grim Reaper started during the Middle Ages when the plagues, like in the 1100s, started sweeping through Europe, killing about half of the population. It was devastating, and the classic picture of the scythe is that is what they would use in those days to cut the wheat and the corn, all the sheaves down. Obviously they didn't have combines, they had scythes. And basically the plague wasn't so much cutting down the old, it was cutting down the people, the very, very young, and the people that were in the prime of their life. I mean, it would come after some of the old people, but it was primarily affecting the young and people in the prime of their life. The people that had a future ahead of them were being cut down, which is why you see the common Grim Reaper looking like a skeleton. It actually isn't supposed to be a cloak. It's supposed to be death shrouds. A lot of times, especially during plague days, people would be buried in mass graves. Sometimes they wouldn't even get a death shroud. But the common practice before the mass graves is that poor people really couldn't afford a coffin, so they would bury you wrapped in a death shroud and put into the ground. So it's not supposed to be a cloak, it's supposed to be a death shroud around the Grim Reaper with his scythe. And the other part is a retriever, because the Reavers they were made to retrieve souls. Now there are two types of Reavers, okay? They each have their own list and their own agenda. Now, they do not work for Satan. They do not work for God. They do not work for any other powers. They just bring the souls where they are supposed to be. Now, there are some that primarily are bounty hunters. And then there are just some that are guides. Now, the guides, they have a list of all the souls that are able to access heaven. They have to go looking for these souls, and when they find them and manage to convince them that they're not going to eat their souls, they're not demonic, they're not horrible, which again, I don't understand why something that has that we would consider a frightening appearance would be sent to escort people to heaven. It doesn't make sense to me, but they're like economy versions. They just don't dedicate a lot of time and energy to much besides their job. That's what they do, that day in, day out, their job. Go find this person, bring them here. Go find this person, bring them here. That's it. That's what they were created for. That's what they live for. That's what they do 24 hours a day. So, again, there are some that are destined to bring you to like heaven or Valhalla or wherever your religion designates you as heaven. Yes, there are different kind of things going on with that. We'll get into that when we talk to the Reaver. And then there are the bounty hunters. Now, those are the ones that are taking the souls that should have gone to hell. Now, here's the difference between the two. If a guide comes for you and says to you, and this is if you have missed the light. Now, I kind of talked about the 13th hour. Actually, I think that was in the video for my subscribers. So, let me do a quick thing. You know, we have 12 hours as humans, but there's that 13th hour. and you'll see it like in haunted house and everything. What the 13th hour is, it means that when you die, you have a 1 hour window to cross to the other side. Some people miss that light. They don't realize that they're dead, so they don't turn to look for it. They're all caught up in what's going on, especially if you've been in an accident. You're kind of traumatized. You don't understand, why am I outside my body? What's happening? Where are my kids' spirits? Where is the, you're caught up in still being human when you're not so much a human anymore, a physical human anymore. But when you're caught up with that, you miss that window. And by the time you finally come to grips with it, you're here. You're stuck here. You missed your 13th hour. So that is why these Reavers exist, to come and get you when you've missed your 13th hour. So there are Reavers that are the guides. The guides will come to you and they say, listen, you missed your window. I'm here to take you to the other side. Now, if you're bound for whatever heaven your religion believes in, then you can say to the Reaver, I don't want to go. I want to stay here on Earth. For whatever reason you may have, I don't want to go. And the Reaver, the guide, will say, all right, you can stay here, but I won't be back. This is your last chance to go. Are you sure? And if you again say, no, I want to stay, the Reaver will leave you, but you will be here forever, unless someone like me comes along and summons the Reaver that I work with, and then they'll make that exception and take you back. But once a Reaver comes to you and you tell them no, they won't ever be back for you. Okay? You would need somebody like me to either open a portal or to send a Reaver out for you. Now, then there's the bounty hunters. And if a bounty hunter comes for you, you're supposed to be in hell. And if you tell that bounty hunter, no, I don't want to go to hell, I'm staying here, that bounty hunter is like, that's not the option that's on the table. I'm here for you, and you're coming with me. And they will chase you down. You can run, but they will chase you down. So the Reaver that I am talking to today is actually a guide, but the Reavers can call each other. Like if a bounty hunter arrives and sees something off about the name that's on the list, the bounty hunter can call a guide and be like, hey, are you seeing what I'm seeing with this spirit? Is this right? Should we question it? And Reavers can question. It doesn't happen often. It really doesn't happen often. Mix-ups like that don't really happen, because the minute you do something that would put you in hell, you get marked for hell. So, a bounty hunter looks at you and they see the mark and they're just like, let's go, buddy. But occasionally, a Reaver, a bounty hunter will come across a soul that is on the list, but does not have the mark of hell on them. And that's when they'll call the guide in and be like, hey, we need a consult here, because this is the guy that's on my list, but he doesn't have any markings. So what are we going to do? What should we do with this? So again, what they do with that, I'll ask the Reaver and we'll talk about that. So I do have the Reaver here. I do want to take a drink though, because my throat is Okay. Now, so I have my Reaver here. Pardon me. Carbonation. Now, my Reaver does not want me to use the name that I gave it. And again, Reavers don't have a name. But for me to summon this Reaver, I asked if it would like a name to make it easier, and this Reaver said yes. I did give it a name, but the Reaver doesn't want me to tell the name because it doesn't want to be summoned by everybody that might watch this. So, let me ask you. Now, I did get a question the other day, and I want to make sure I read this correctly. I don't want to... I think it was on Demons in the Watch List. I think that's where I mentioned this. That's not what I want. I do not want that. Okay. So in the meantime, while I'm pulling this up, pardon me, let me talk to you about what I was just talking about, the consultation. So it happens that you will come across a spirit, that a bounty hunter will come across a spirit that is not marked for hell but is on their list. So they call in one of you guys, right? So what happens with that? Do you, hold on one second, I'm pulling up my channel. So does the bounty hunter for the most part end up taking them? Okay. All right. So what the Reaver said is the bounty hunter, when it comes across a spirit that is not marked for hell, but is on the list, they call a guide. And they say, you know, we have a problem here. So what the guide does is the guide takes that soul to whatever heaven that their religion deems, and they ask basically whoever is in charge of the gates. Like in Catholic, it's what, St. Peter, I think it is. St. Peter, right? Yeah. So you ask whoever is in charge of letting souls in, we have a problem. Is this one actually supposed to be with you guys? And that's when they let wherever they're supposed to be sorted out. So let me ask you something. Do you find that people that are on the bounty hunter list but not marked for hell, is that because they may have done something that should have ended them up in hell, but they redeemed themselves, but their name just wasn't taken off the list, but it removed the mark? Okay. And so is that redemption enough to let them into whatever heaven? So that's when they have to go on the trial. Okay. So if you don't know what I'm talking about, I did talk about trial. If you go to my angels video, I think I made an angels video. I've made so many. I did talk about oh no, it wasn't. I had an angel. Oh, I forgot what the name was. I'll try to remember what the name was. I'll see if I can link it in the box under this, what video it was. But if you've watched all my videos, you've already seen this. It was an interview video. And we were talking about the different like choirs of angels and the trial that you would have to do. So that person's fate would still be up in the air. They wouldn't automatically be admitted. They would have to go on trial. And that's when they would discuss what this person did to originally get the mark for hell, and if the redemption was enough to let them in. So that's what's going on with that. So let's go over to this video. I think this is where I had the question. Is it? Yes. Yes, it is. Okay. Now, one of the questions is, are there parallel realities? No, there's just one reality. Okay. Have you ever met any divine beings? Any of the gods, the Hindu gods, the Greek gods? You have. Have you basically met them all? You have. Okay. Now, I want to talk about the different heavens. Now, every religion has their own type of heaven because they have their own type of gods. Obviously, there's Valhalla for anyone of Nordic or Viking descent. There's Mormons have their own. I don't know what happens to Scientologists. Do Scientologists even have a heaven? So if you're a Scientologist, when you die, are you basically stuck here? No one comes for you, right? Let that be a lesson, you Scientologists. You stuck. So there's the Hindu heaven. There's, okay. Now, is hell all the same? So it doesn't matter if you believe in the Greek gods. It doesn't matter if you believe in Wicca. You're just going to go to the same place. That's where you mix and mingle, kids. You all going to the same place. But because there are different faiths, it's probably not the best to mix and mingle, because you don't really want, it's supposed to be a peaceful place. You don't want debates about religion and this and that and everything else, even though you're kind of like over it at that point because you know what's going on. It's just easier to keep ancestors with ancestors in separate places, and that's how they do it. They just, so there are different heavens depending on your belief. So is there like a Wicca heaven? So do Wiccans end up pretty much staying here as well? Shit, I'm in the same boat as a Scientologist. Fuck my life. All right. But we reincarnate. Do Scientologists reincarnate? Nope. See, Wiccans will reincarnate, or will do what my spirit companions do. We'll go, we'll help somebody. You know, I have a druidic priestess that's thousands of years old that's with me. I have an Egyptian magician. He would have been known as a wizard. That's obviously thousands of years old. That's with me. We just go on and we help people. Well, they do. I'm gonna be going to like tourist traps and like photobombing people and like fucking with tourists. I'm gonna have like the time of my afterlife. But some spirits actually do productive things with their afterlife. I'm just not gonna be one of them. And of course, atheists obviously stay here. Okay. Have you gone after people of every religion? You have. Okay. And now you are what's considered the guide. A guide, right? You do not handle the bounty hunters issues. No. This is simply a guide. And of course, guides, if they are looking for a certain spirit and they see somebody marked for hell, they in turn can call a bounty hunter. Be like, hey, you missed one. Come get it. So it can work both ways with them. They do work together. It's not like they're just like two separate divisions. They never see each other. They know each other. They interact with each other, and they do call upon each other when they need to. Trying to think of some. Oh, well, let me ask about the appearance thing, because for most spirits, we obviously retain the fears and beliefs that we had as humans, because we're still human spirits. The appearance is, and I don't want you to take this personally, but it is frightening to some people that have obviously caught glimpses of you guys in the past that have made stories up and described ghouls, or have described Slender Man, or even Nosferatu with that makeup job, or somebody had to have seen one of you guys to come up with that description, that portrayal. So I can understand the bounty hunters, maybe, you kind of want to strike fear, whatever, but for someone as benign as a guide, that's really kind of frightening. Do you guys ever change your shape? So you are what you are. You cannot change your shape. You look how you look. Do you cast an aura in front of you so that people won't be afraid? Okay. But it doesn't work a lot of the time, does it? So why were you created? And again, I don't want you to take this personally, but I'm just curious as to why, if you're to like escort souls to heaven, why you would have this is our hang up. It's not you, it's our hang up. Why something that we might consider frightening would come to take us to a nice place. I don't understand what that logic is about. Because the Reaver is telling me, because they are really not in charge of how they look, the Reaver really doesn't have an answer for that. And before this cuts out, I'm going to stop this video for a second, and I'm going to be right back. Okay, so we're going to finish up this video here. So the Reaver doesn't have any answer, because they are not in control about what they look like. The Reaver says, well, we just are what we are. Again, now, what I was saying before, you guys really don't have emotions. You don't, like, compassion or sympathy. You're kind of, have you ever seen, like, Star Trek The Next Generation? Are you kind of like the Data of, like, the world? Yeah. It's just, they just are. Now, there are some Reavers that are more helpful than other Reavers. Some of them just, they have a job to do, they're going to do it, and that's that. There are some Reavers that are a little older, have been doing this a long while, and it would be what they consider a little more compassionate. If they come across, if those type of Reavers, I should say guides, because we're not talking about the bounty hunters, just they do their job, that's that. But if a guide comes across, an older guide, comes across a spirit that is distraught about something and is just in a real state. Maybe they are looking for another spirit and they can't find them. And they won't cross until they find out what happened with it. Say a mother and her child, and the mother cannot find the child spirit. She knows that they died at the same time, like say in a car accident, but she can't find her child spirit. And she won't leave until she finds her child's spirit. And she knows that her child is okay. Some of these older guides will go the extra mile to find out where this child is. And they will find out if the child is crossed. If the child is lost, they will go find the child spirit. And children usually do make it into heaven. There's very few children that don't. There are some children that don't, but very few children do not make it to their heavens. If they choose to go, I mean. Some children, I have a lot of children spirits here, they don't want to go. But these older guides will go the extra mile to find this other spirit, to find out what happened to it. And if that spirit is actually not on the list of getting into that heaven, they'll actually seek that spirit out. Because if they're supposed to actually have been gone, they can cross 2 names off a list and get extra credit. So these older guides that are what we consider more compassionate will go out of the way to do something like that. But like the younger ones, they're kind of like, you go now or you don't go. That's just the way it is. And I think it's the older guides after a time, after kind of spending time around humans, retrieving humans, because humans, it's a human condition. Sometimes when we get nervous, we talk about our life, we talk about what happened to us, and it can't help but rub off on the guides. And you start to kind of feel a little bit of a bond with humans. Sometimes you in their own way, they kind of feel sorry sometimes for humans. Or a sense of unfairness to certain humans that are deceased and the way they died. So sometimes they take what they consider that compassion and they do what they can to try to make them feel better before bringing them where they have to go. But the Reavers themselves, they don't have partners. They don't love. They don't have children. They lead kind of a pretty solitary existence. The only time that they're able to interact is when they retrieve souls. And that's pretty much the only social interaction that they have. They don't really have a home. They don't have some place where they can go decompress, relax. They don't have that. They pretty much work 24 hours a day. They don't need sleep. They don't need to re-energize. They just are kind of like working machines. Now, is there anything that you want to say to anybody. And now, is that to, that's to physical humans, because the physical humans are the ones that are watching. Okay. So what this Reaver just said is, please do not fear us when you see us. We mean no harm to you, and we cannot harm you. We are not ghouls. We do not feast on you. He said that, well, I said he, but they really don't have a gender. He said that they are not evil. They are not murderers. They cannot take a human soul out of a body. This is only after, long after, a human has missed their 13th hour, that they will come for you. And if you know you have not done anything bad, you do not need to run from a Reaver. They're just there to get you where you are supposed to be, and where you will be safe. Because I did that video about the soul eaters. So again, they're actually there not only to help you, but to keep you safe as well. A soul eater doesn't dare mess with a Reaver. A soul eater sees a Reaver coming and they run away. They know what a Reaver is. A Reaver is extremely powerful. They can, because Reavers can open. They can open portals. They can kind of like cause a tear in like the fabric of our time. They can actually do a lot more than what they do, but they don't. They can interfere in the course of events, but they don't. They have so much power, literally so much power, that they are like the atomic bomb of the spirit world. They could completely obliterate all spirits. Like if all of them banded together, they could completely obliterate all spirits on walking this planet. They can kill living things. They can. But they don't. Because they consider their job, just like I consider what I do with spirits, they consider it sacred. They are tasked with a very important duty, and they consider it sacred. And they do not go outside of the parameters of that. They do not abuse their power. And if you think about that, like, you know, with great power comes great responsibility, right? But we have people that are in great power right now. I'm not naming names. I think you know who I'm talking about. Great power that are greatly abusing it. Because sometimes when you give a person power, they lose their fucking mind, and they will run roughshod. They will do what they want. Not one of these Reavers, not one, has ever stepped over that boundary. And I think one of the reasons why is because so many of these Reavers take their job so seriously. They are so committed to keeping a balance in this world and they revere what they do because it is so important. That if one of the Reavers were to start abusing the power, the other Reavers would turn on them, and it would be very, very ugly. And let me ask, has that ever happened in the history of the Reavers? No. Not one Reaver has ever abused the power. That says a lot about the type of people Reavers are. They are beings of infinite power. I have come across very few beings that have the same power energy level that I feel rippling off this Reaver. This Reaver could take me out with a snap of their fingers. Living me can take me out with a snap of their fingers if they want. But they don't consider that their job. They have very specific parameters, and that's what they stick to. And that says a lot. So again, knowing that they could do all this, and they never have, in the history of the world, never have. That's another reason why you should not fear a Reaver if you see it. Because if you're a physical human, the Reaver isn't there for you. They're not there for you, and they're not going to hurt you. They do not feed off of you like a vampire. They do not eat cows or goats. They don't have to eat. They're non-physical beings. They have no reason to eat actual food or drink blood. That's nonsense. So they are not ghouls. They do not feast on the flesh of the dead either. They consider that extremely disgusting. I mean, I can feel the revulsion from this Reaver of even thinking about a decaying corpse. They hate going to the graveyards. Oh God, they hate it. Because they have such a super developed sense of smell that a graveyard to them smells completely of decay. It smells like if you go into a fish market and they haven't refrigerated the fish and you've got like 4 tons of 3-day-old dead fish, that's kind of what it smells like to them. Yeah. That's exactly what it smells like to them. It makes them gag to have to go to a cemetery. Usually they'll stand outside of the cemetery and be like, "Come here. Just come here. Don't make me come in there. Come here." They don't want to go into a cemetery. So the fact that this Reaver went into a cemetery for me today says a lot about the dedication to want to help spirits. That says a lot about this Reaver. And it says a lot about guides in general. That how seriously they take their job and themselves. So I think that is going to be it for this video. I want to thank my Reaver friend for showing up. My Reaver friend has agreed that if there are any follow-up questions, they will absolutely do a follow-up video here. They will answer all your questions. Because of the power that they wield, because they answer to nobody, this Reaver has no repercussions in answering any questions that you have about death, that you have about what might happen, the aspects of the universe that they understand and they know about. They have no this Reaver has no problem answering those questions for you. And this Reaver has no fear of reprisals either. So really sorry. So After watching this video, if you have any questions, please email those questions to me at salemwillow@yahoo.com. I'll write them down. I will record a follow-up video in 1 week, and I will post, if I have any questions, I will make a follow-up video. If there's no questions, I don't see a reason why to drag the Reaver back here. But if you have any further questions, you can email them to me, and I will make a follow-up video if I have questions for the Reaver, and I will post it a week from tonight. Once again, I want to apologize. I was so looking forward to this. I was so ready to do this. I mean, you guys saw I tried multiple times to do this. I don't know what happened. I don't know. It was either on the part of YouTube. It had to be on the part of YouTube. Because I was wireless on my phone. And it wasn't just me that was getting the circle. It had to have been YouTube. So I guess a lot of people are streaming tonight. I don't know. Although I still say Spectrum. But I think the trouble was on the part of YouTube. Because I don't know. But I'm again, I apologize, but I will see you guys in the next video. Thanks for watching.